All right, thank you for tuning in to my teacher interview summary. So, first of all, we have Mrs. Ariana Skis, who is an English teacher at East Knox High School and just so happens to be my big sister. So, her summary: classroom management was a big fear, and even after her undergrad at MVNU, she was unsure of how to enforce it. She implemented classroom expectations and reward systems early on, and she experienced many behavioral issues early on in her career as an inner city teacher in Cleveland. She learned to pick her battles, but to be fair and consistent in her enforcement of them. Her best advice, number one, is do not take everything so seriously. Number two is to have grace and patience with your students. And number three is to handle most behavioral issues on your own and do not rely on office referrals. Also, parent communication is essential whether the behavior is good or bad. And the most important to implement, Mrs. Skis says to take time and think through every element of your dream classroom. Create a list of rules and procedures that are necessary to that vision and enforce it consistently and fairly. Teacher number two is Mrs. Crystal Toole. She was my Spanish teacher for 2 years at Mount Vernon High School. And in summary, she says she feared behavior management even before each new school year. So even as an experienced teacher, she still had her own fears about behavioral management. She was afraid the students would not pay attention and be able to learn. She also established classroom rules and penalties for breaking them. Early in her career, a faculty member's son destroyed property in the classroom, and she was forced to send him to the office, which she says was a rarity during her career. She said in 34 years of teaching, that was probably one of like 3 times that she ever sent a student to the office. Her best advice, number one, is to plan more content than can be covered in a day so students are busy and do not have time to misbehave. This one was pretty surprising to me. I had never even thought of this, but it does make sense that if they're busy, they don't have time to slack off or talk to friends or throw things across the room. I know as a substitute teacher, they have a lot of free time often because the teachers don't plan enough content for the day, and that can lead to some serious misbehavior. Best advice number two is to move about the classroom and engage with all students during class. And then number three, pick your enforcement battles, but be consistent with all students. And the most important to implement is to be respectful and consistent with all students from day to day. Overall, I noticed a lot of similarities in these teachers and their advice to me in my future as a behavior management specialist in the classroom. Um, Overall, I learned a lot about behavior management from these teachers, and this was a great experience. Thank you for watching.